We're recording again. So this is arrival, and these are the notes I started taking when I started arriving. Sorry, by the way, if I keep looking left and right, it's because there are two screens now, preview scene and program scene. I still don't know the software that I downloaded. It's OBS Studio. If anyone could give me a hint, that would be amazing. So far, I'm still not concerning myself with editing any of my videos, which is probably why I don't have that many people following me. But it's fine. The goal is 1,000 videos. Uh, so thoughts on Iraq, and English should be a bonus. That's me talking to the guys. It's the whole country gave me Dubai vibes in the early 2000s because they have the bigger buildings and they have the whole I want to say pretentious attitude from oil money, but still not hitting home. Still not it's still not basically the people still don't know how to effectively use that money. It's like it took Saudi a while, but Saudi basically, if you consider the projects they have right now, they're like very much they have planning, right? Over there, it still seems like it's missing planning. It's written here actually, bad urban planning. Amazing. So it is lacking funding, but mainly because apparently like 50% of people plus are government workers. So anytime there's drama between like the north, south, east, west, center of the country, the capital, and stuff like this, they kind of have that dynamic between each other where they kind of like stop and be like, no, okay, shit, man, we can't send you money because we don't have any unless you apologize. Suddenly we'll have money again or something like this vibe. Not efficient. Construction work is not really very efficient. It feels like there are a lot of buildings that are basically that's, that are halfway done, but they have been halfway done for a while. So again, like lack of planning or bad planning or just like corruption or waste. I don't know. But there's a whole lot of like these kind of like you can tell at the grander scale if things are basically glitchy. I think that word is better because uh, you look at a screen, it's clear, perfect. If it's glitchy, that means bits and pieces are missing. They're not connecting together. So it doesn't matter how, if you can still watch whatever you're watching on the screen, you can still see all these bits and pieces that contribute to a bad experience, not necessarily the best and like wholesome experience. And if a country is evolving and growing, you kind of like you don't necessarily want like 1000 plus like HD, right? You can't, you're okay with like 420 or 760 or 740. I forgot the numbers and what they actually represent. But I can check YouTube 1 second. I really just want to. Video editing, clip champ, I have it open. If I actually here say download 720, right? I'm not gonna waste your time, man. I'm not gonna waste your time, my bad. But anyways, so yeah, there's still a Turkish presence that's very prominent. And I learned something beautiful when I was there. That there's a whole region called Kurdistan that speak Kurdish language. And that language is basically a subset of all, I think, old Indo-Persian and is very much related as well to like Armenian, I think. And there are many of these languages that are split within that region because, like, historically, as people kind of like evolved, the language has changed, but they all kind of like sound the same. And Turkish as a language also sounds fairly similar, except the Turkish language sounds, from my perspective, sounds more Arab, while the Kurdish language sounds more Persian. But between each other, they kind of like it's a different language, but they sound the same. Amazing, dude. I love asking people about these things because you never consider them, right? So super hot weather and super hot weather. That means my idea about water kind of like makes more sense. They don't have awareness, so they don't fucking care. So they like They waste water without giving a fuck. And when they don't have water, they'll just figure it out. There's that mentality. I think I was used to it when I was like in Liberia. It's like kind of like live for the day mentality, right? So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's kind of the vibe I got. And there are rich families, lots of land, unplanted lands. Fuck, apparently there was a war at one point 20 years ago, and they decided to chop the trees so the people that they were fighting would not hide in between the trees. So they burnt them, and he burnt the entire armies. But that kind of like desertified an entire fucking region. You're talking like millions or maybe thousands of kilometers square like space. It's just like there are no trees. It's like very upsetting. It hurt me. I'm the kind of guy that loves greenery. Like I plant everywhere I go. I collect seeds everywhere I go, and I throw them everywhere I go. So that kind of like hurts. My best friends at work are like a cat and a mother bird sitting on her like nest. I found the nest, and I like go have conversations with her every morning. So I love trees. I really think the essence of life is water, but like the substance of life is trees. Trees are made of carbon. We are carbon life forms. H2O doesn't have carbon, so technically we're closer to have been born from trees than water. But the only reason we live is water. So yay. But so one of the conversations that I actually had with them the first day when I went there, and they were telling me that like we grow with the company, and I stopped them there, and I was like, no, that's not correct. And they're like, why? I'm like, because the you're not workers in the company, you're employees, and there's a big difference between I kind of work for the company or I work in the company. And they got confused and they were like, what? And I go like, yeah, because like if the company is growing and you're growing with the company, that means you're only doing your job. But the reason I'm here is because you don't want to do your job. You want to decide what you want to do with your job. So you're not growing with the company. Company is growing with you. And that clicked with them in a beautiful way because they kind of like felt some form of pride and they felt some form of like, yes, we are trying to like do better stuff for the company to grow. And I kind of shifted their mentality towards what are we doing, and it gave them a bit more presence to their actions and how they're contributing to their own growth and how they need to promote the company's growth in order for them to actually grow. And there's a big language barrier, and it's fast as well. Like that, it was exciting because like the region is actually fairly big, but different villages and different like spots and places around the area speak in different, not even different dialects. They speak in a completely different tonality, and the way they approach the language is on a completely different level. So, like, I met three people from three different places. When they speak to each other, you can tell that they're trying hard to tone it down because the part of them that actually speaks the language is kind of like, calm down because they won't understand. And I'm talking literally like we're still talking people in the north. They're just like villages that are like a couple of 100 kilometers away. So here, man, the different language translations. And the reason I was asking these questions is because we have to print flyers. We have to like consider different things. And their language is a written language, but there is no like there's an English language that like if you read a law book or an academic English book, the English they use is different than just the English that we use to chat with each other. There are different words and different structures, the grammatical proper structures that they use, which kind of like is not the same as what we speak. But over there, they write the same way they speak, which literally means whatever, if somebody translates something, most probably the people that would understand them are people from his region because that's how they speak. So there was like a difficulty, me not wrapping myself in like, I have to consider in the future the people that are going to be able to, how to translate because I'm gonna create everything in English. And I speak Arabic, I speak French, I speak Spanish, and I would say fairly Japanese. I'm a Japanese enthusiast, but I'm not actually learning it. And we don't actually have something here like substantial that supports something like this. Maybe we do. I just like still looking for free stuff or communities. Once I start getting paid, I'm gonna register for classes and all kinds of things to do. But so yeah, that's something that I have to consider as well later on, though. Again, planning. And so I started creating issues with selling points and why English is strong when it comes to the people that we're around us. But they understood me very well when I spoke in English. They just didn't have the confidence to speak it, which is fine. They're not used to it. And I understand the feeling because that's how I felt around French for a while until I started just basically speaking bad French and then it got better. So barely anyone speaks English in the country over there. Nope. And even though it's an Arab country, barely anyone spoke Arabic in the north where I was. Most of them spoke only in Kurdi. And I kind of like split the fundamental differences between the people that I was working with and tried to understand how they are actually thinking. And in order to be able to distinguish between their work and the differences between their work, because they seem to kind of like support each other in a very like unhealthy way. Each one basically like I don't know. Again, like no, there are no set duties for one to complete every day. There's just the whims that the company throws at them because they're trying their best to do more and to sell more, but they're not organized in it in a way where they can rely on each other with stuff without even having to check with each other. That's delegation, and I blame leadership. I don't blame them. I blame leadership. But kind of leadership went through a lot in order that the chief, the one that basically called on me, he doesn't even care to talk to me. He's like, if you think you can do it, just fucking do it. I really don't want to think about it. And yeah, it's just like he's at a point where he realized he needs to like start looking at the business differently. And for him, probably to accept that he has to change something about the business or he has to change and all that stuff. Because throughout his life, he's been doing things a certain kind of way. And this is the one time that it's finally going somewhere, but it's reached the plateau, which is where somebody that's it's not business analysis, it's just like you have to professionalize and systematize your business for it to scale to a different level. And that's how you basically start actually making money and making progress and growing because you actually have points of reference and data points and systems in place that kind of like give you feedback and then you decide what you want to do. It's like a functioning organism. It becomes very much like mechanically enhanced. So that was the first day. That was my first day there. Fucking amazing.